Miss Kiki. How you doing?
Hey, hey, hey. Happy Sunday. Doing
Uh,
great. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good to see you.
So, yes, we are taping the week before the Super Bowl. So, because this is the best time to do anything for a lot of people. So, if you want to get
Hmm.
your lawn done, your hair done, and all that stuff, get it out of the way because next Sunday, everybody will be preparing for the big game between two teams that I don't give a shit about anymore. So, anyway, so speaking of which, how did you feel about Championship Sunday? Like a lot of people have said their piece about it, the good, bad, the ugly with it, especially I have on your shows or anybody else's shows, because I feel like certain teams should be in there, and the teams that we got is bullshit. So, but how do you feel about the Niners and Chiefs round two?
Meh.
So pretty much you're just waiting for Usher to show up and that's it, huh?
You know, no. Next week the excitement will kick in during this week. I feel like um, I don't like it. One, I don't like it. I feel like, and I hate to join the crowd and claim rig, but
Mhm.
I'm not happy. I watched the game, so I understand the losses, but then I don't understand the losses, but I understand the losses.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense. I how do you interpret this? A lot of people, like especially you yourself. I remember like early last year, you were saying it's like, oh, have you check out the Super Bowl logo? It's purple and all that stuff, and it's like, oh, this shows that the Ravens may go back in there. And I was just like, okay, yeah, yeah, okay. I try to keep that out of my head because it feels like you still got to play the games. I
Yeah.
don't want the NFL to give me a rigged setup. I want it to come naturally, and that's I sort of try to put that on my head. And as a Raven fan, I felt like, yeah, this is our time. This is how we,
Mm,
yeah, this is it. This is it. We got home field advantage. We're, Lamar said it. It's like gotta, it's that old school beat a man. You got to beat the man type of
yeah.
mentality. And it's like, yeah, everything is like this is it. This is our time. And then I looked at the game and it's like, okay, how it started. It felt like it was going like how it was in the divisional, very
Hmm.
sluggish, but
Hmm.
trying to feel each other out. And in the second half, I think it will kick in. And it kind of did to me because the defense did their thing. If everyone didn't see it, the Chiefs didn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. And then at the same time, the offense, it was like they were moving, they were doing things, but either there was a turnover, either there was a penalty on both sides, offense and defensive. But it just felt weird. And then those two turnovers that were where they were in the red zone, the Zay Flowers
Yes.
fumble and the quote unquote interception. I felt like, okay, the fumble I understood, but what led before that was the taunting one, and I felt like just calm down because again the nerves,
Relax.
the
Yeah.
you relax and all that stuff, but then you get that turnover. It's like damn, but we went down the field again, and the interception. A lot of people, if you check it out, then this is where again we get into the rig part. Is like there was a lot of calls that weren't called. If
Uh huh.
you know what you mean,
Hmm.
and that was one
Hmm.
of them, and where the ball was supposed to go to Isaiah Likely, but it gets picked off. But Isaiah Likely got crushed by two guys before even the ball even got there, and the refs didn't call it. So, and there was other plays where I saw Isaiah Likely one got turned around, got pretty much held. No refs didn't call that. I've seen a lot of holds, tackles, pretty much. Refs didn't call that, but they call the Ravens for the taunting of Flowers, the unnecessary roughness on whatever so-on person. They have four quote unquote personal fouls that they would like to interpret
Hmm.
it, and it gets to the point where I'm like, really? This is like, and the Chiefs ain't doing shit. So I talked to a friend, and I'm kind of like, as much as her father, who's also watched the game and went to the game as well, and he felt like is like, the Ravens play poorly, they should have did this and this, but no, when you're handcuffed, you can't do what you would normally do, and you're pretty much put out of your game. I had a cousin of mine, and I mentioned this before to some people, where I literally almost had an argument with her, claiming that it felt like John Harbaugh got outcoached. And I asked her where. Show me where he got outcoached. He didn't get outcoached. He got, pretty much is like, based off the situation in hand, they had to change things. And that's what happens. So it's kind of unfortunate when you got a team that is, majority of this team is got a lot of guys who this is their first opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and being unable to get there without being shortchanged by the referees and the Chiefs. You're pretty much in a in a 2-on-1 situation. That's where I feel like that's how I see it. Now, mind you, every Steeler fan can say I'm crying spilled milk, but no, I'm not. Because this will happen to you too, if if things are not going a certain way. So, but you have thoughts?
Yeah, there's validity to everything that you're saying. One, I did introduce the logo idea because it was leaked, right? And if you look back, there's validity to it. You look back former years, there's validity to it, right? I think the right people caught wind of layperson's knowledge of it and decided to shake things up, because there is aside of that, there's even a leak from Usher that Usher had a video or something, and Usher was saying, something about the 49ers and the Chiefs, as he was preparing for the halftime show. Like, this is way before the playoffs even happened. So that stuck in my head too. It is extremely hard to have to play the team versus the ref. And I'll show you maybe tomorrow, because I think I added into my queue for you, but there is video on these refs and how they do things. And this particular set, I've always gotten mad at the old refs, the old black guy and his little crew, because I know for a fact that they look the other way when the Cowboys play. I know for a fact. But there is footage and literature now and video on these referees who, when they come to a certain like whole film, I don't know, just for example, because I don't want to misquote, but if there's some that root for home team when you're at home, there's these set of refs that will make sure the home team get what they gotta get, and then there's some who flip the coin and get away games, and they do away games. So it's and it's documented. It's documented. So that type of thing, as much as I love the game, I bleed football. You know this. I like sports. It stung me to the point where I hope both teams lose on next Sunday. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I work with, like I said, I work with college sports, and initially, with certain conferences, they bring in league officials to come in and monitor the referees, and they'll do it where we would like, throughout the year, or at least maybe at least three times a year, like in the beginning, the middle, and the end, to make sure and see how the referees are going to do things. And I know full well that a lot of the, you see the coaches and they argue, they wonder why are you calling this, but you don't call that, and things of that nature. And you really don't get a true referee, grading card to how good or bad these guys are. You just pretty much, you see, so-and-so showed up. And it's like, hey, I've seen him. He unless you really fully into the game, because like one of the guys I follow on Twitter, he mentioned the fact of like how this referee crew was like that. Like you said, he just pretty much favored the visiting teams.
Yes.
And you kind of wonder, it's like, what? Why would it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to me again, I didn't brush it off. I just sort of like it put it in the back of my mind.
Yes.
And then he said he saw the game again and everything, and it's like, yeah, there were calls that they never called, for the Ravens, and it was like, I just don't get it. And I mean, the thing is like, how can I never understood how referees or umpires have, it's like you have a set of rules that you're supposed to follow, and somehow you alter it, for a certain set of, for which side. I never understood why, even though they say, oh, it's fair, everything is final, everything is, legit. But then again, you look at it, you see the replay, or you watch the game over and over again, you wonder, it's like, I understand if you don't see everything, but damn, man, at least see at least a good 50% or maybe 60% of it, so you make it balance somehow.
And at least see the things that we see from our seats at home. As you're there, at least see that. This big Dance caught it. That was a catch. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So, yeah, when you have, even though you have the replay, you have a person in whatever city you have, like New York. They always say New York. Oh, let's head to New York. Even though it's like, don't you have the guys there, that can handle it? Because there's sometimes I do the basketball replays, and they have to have it right there. It's like having some guy in New York giving you the call doesn't make sense to me. And it's like, damn, can you see it right there? It shouldn't take that long. And I feel like with, since initiating the challenges in football and in baseball now, I think it's a good thing, because again, you want to make sure everything's done right. But the thing is like, when you are missing calls that are so blatant and you can't call it out, that's a problem. It's like, aren't you supposed to see that? There's like freaking 7 of you, and you can't, not one of you can see this?
You're supposed to see this. You have one for every inch or every foot on that field, like every yard, I should say. Stop it. Yeah. Knock it off.
And by the time, and the thing is, when it gets to the championship games, it's usually they add like maybe 2 more. And because again, so again, to make it properly good for everybody and all that stuff. But then again, sometimes they'll keep the flag in their pocket, or they'll fling it out whenever they feel like it. And it's just like, disgusting. I mean, it is disgusting. So I just feel like, yeah, it's, I'm reminded of, again, here's another reminder of how a Super Bowl that I'm not a fan of. If you remember Super Bowl 51, and where it was the Rams and the Patriots, nobody wanted that. If everyone who remembers this, here's the reason why. Because the Rams got there because of a missed pass interference call. Yeah. Everybody saw it but the referees. And exact same thing. It was like, they favored the visiting team, and it's like everybody was like, what the hell are you talking about? It was so blatant. Everybody knows it. Even the announcer said it was a pass interference, everything, and they just said nothing. And let it kept going. And the Rams ended up winning. And it was like, and that play was supposed to leading to the Saints to go into to get a touchdown, pretty much a leading touchdown that could eventually had them win. But no, they did that whole thing deflated everything, and it knocked them out, and everybody was pissed.
I know about it.
Yeah. So this is pretty much like the exact same thing. It's like there are certain things where you had, it looks like this is, everything's in line for the home team, but then you want to bring in a visiting, favored visiting referee crew, and it just pulls that away for a lot of people. And it's just like, it doesn't make it. If the Chiefs and Ravens game was played fairly, then I wouldn't be extremely bitter. But based off of the certain things that have transpired lately, things that I've been seeing and stuff like that, and it just like, I know John Harbaugh is giving the good PR pitch of why they didn't do certain things and all that stuff to get out of this mess. But I just feel like, dude, I know you don't want to say it, but the fans, the Raven flock will say it for you. You got screwed.
You got screwed. You got screwed. I think Detroit too. There's no way you can tell me that the check didn't clear on that game, because there's no way that as hard as they played and as up as they were up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I feel I'm not a player, and I've never played professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard, and I know there are certain things that come into play that can change a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, when something is on the line, such as that game, I something else in the back, something else from New York, something else happened where these people, the favor changed. The favor changed. And if you look at things, I'm sorry, if you look at things, because when in sports, I'm a fan of the story as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens had a great story to have. So did Detroit there's a great story there that was going to propel this thing into the stratosphere, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way when Ray Lewis was retiring. There was a story there. I'm not stating that they didn't earn it. I'm not saying any of that, but there was a story there that they started to cook up right around that time that grew legs and ran.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how in none of these stories this time grew the legs that they were supposed to grow. And it to me was an allotment that was denied. And the two teams that got in, whatever with them, I am a Cowboys fan, so I cannot and may not, and I better not root for 49ers. I may not, right? My best friend is one of the only Kansas City, one of two Kansas City fans that I know in the state of Maryland. Whatever with that. You know what I'm saying? But
do you feel that like we grew up in the 80s where, you know, we had those dominant teams, or already had even this, you know, our parents with the 70s, we had, you know, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Dolphins, they were so dominant, and it didn't feel like, you know, they were the best team to go, and they deserved to go to the championship. In the 80s, we had the Giants,
hands down,
the Niners, and the Skins. You can throw in, you know, a little bit of you know, the Cowboys going into the 90s as well. And we felt like it's like it didn't look scripted. It's just you know, but I think the whole theme of this year, even the NFL said it, it's like it's scripted. You know, here's what the script is. They even mentioned it, you know, in some of their, you know, promotion stuff. And I feel like it's like, okay, this is not wrestling. I know.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah,
Because the toughness was clear as the nose on my face. You couldn't deny Marino. You couldn't deny when they played that you knew when the Raiders, the all black time, you couldn't deny any of that. That was when you watched it and you saw the toughness and you saw the better team. Bradshaw and the Steelers, when you saw that just that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a question.
Right.
It wasn't a question. Now it's all like
we have to look at it. We have to second guess. I mean, especially in these last, I would say in the last 20 years, I really feels like there's certain games you have to question. You know, like certain things where it's like, why does this team have to get in? I mean, everyone still to this day questions the tuck rule game. Everybody questions that. It is like you flat out sparked an entire legacy for a team that has been on a bottom feeder for decades, and you create this weird rule that no one ever heard of, and you favored it to a team that it sparks up almost 6 championships and 6 out of 7 for one dude. I just feel like there's something really odd about that to me.
Not cool.
And I just felt like it's like, well, why are we doing this? And as much as it's like, you know, again, the fandom, everyone likes it and all that stuff, but really it's like, are we really liking this? Because I mean, a lot of people now on the internet are complaining about how The Rock is facing his cousin Roman Reigns in the upcoming WrestleMania matchup, because initially they wanted Cody Rhodes to face him. So, but the thing is, it's like, well, that is scripted. they can set up different changes.
Yes.
They post it on their whenever they promotional posters. They say the card is subject to change. But in the NFL, it's kind of like, how can the better team, a number one seeded team, I would have been okay with Ravens Niners. I would have been okay with that. But it feels like it's like the Chiefs weren't really that good this year. And then even though we can sit there and say it's like, oh, it ain't given Sunday, blah blah blah, but it's like really, because
no, if you look at the overall season, no, they weren't, because there was too many ups and downs. Like the Ravens, you did play hard. There was consistency there. You can see the GUR and the grit. You can see that, and you can see how they ended up where they ended up. And most times, I think when people default to a win, we get this conversation. Like you had to do so much math to say, oh, same thing with boxing. When you're unsure, you had to start counting punches, and as opposed to just seeing Mike Tyson go in there and just I feel like the Chiefs, we had to count their punches. We had to count their punches, and it's just not. And no disrespect to Mahomes, no disrespect. I just feel like if you look at the totality of the season and you look at these people that were in play, to me, I felt like there was a default to those W's.
Okay, so we have. It sounds salty. I'm trying not to sound salty.
I know.
But to me, I felt like, because, like I said, I'm an Orioles fan. I'm a Ravens fan. We've been in two playoff situations where I felt like it got taken away from us in a very odd way. I just and for those who don't remember, the Orioles were facing the Texas Rangers for the league divisional series, but the Orioles had to wait a week, and it just didn't make sense for a team that just won. I know they won the league, regular season, being the number one, team in the league and get a bye week, so to speak. But really, in baseball, you don't need a bye week. Maybe at most 3 days, but not a week. And it felt like it didn't make sense to me. So, I may sound bitter. I want my teams to do well, but we'll move on from this. And I like to say, hey, go Usher, serenade as many women as you can, and have a fun field day in Vegas. Because honestly, this reminds me of Super Bowl 51 all over again. It's just a lot of a Super Bowl that I'm just there for the halftime show. That's all I'm there for. Actually, that's how it was with 54 too. I was like, I think it was J-Lo and Shakira was performing. And I was just like, that's all I cared about. It's like, I just want to see how J-Lo and Shakira was. And that was phenomenal to me. So that was they put in my top 5. So actually, speaking of halftime shows, is there any particular halftime show that you'd enjoyed, the times that you're watching Super Bowl?
I liked Maroon 5. I enjoyed that. The Prince one was noteworthy. The Prince one, because he played Purple Rain and it rained. That was noteworthy. Of course, number 1 on my list will always be Whitney. May she rest in peace. And it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a whole bunch of pomp and circumstance. It was just Whitney and her voice. I loved it. That little piece that she did, that stands out. Janet Jackson and Timberlake, I like that one, even after the malfunction. And I enjoyed the Dr. Dre one, even with all of the negative story. I enjoyed the rap version of it. I enjoyed that one.
Okay. I'm again a true fan of the Prince, I remember the hearing the behind the scenes talk about it, where the NFL officials were telling him and say, hey, it's kind of raining out there. Are you sure you want to do this? And Prince sort of like someone told his eyes lit up and he says, oh, really? Okay, cool. And it's like, he just continued on. It's like, hey, no problem. And get in his high heels and everything. And again, like you said, play Purple Rain in the Rain, because it was like Kismet. It was so perfect. for
God is
him.
clearly a Prince fan.
Yeah, so it just so works for him. And what kind of sparked it all was Michael Jackson. I'll give credit to him. He kind of sparked this renaissance of the modern day halftime show, because I remember the days of the marching bands and the silly, circus acts and all that stuff. Because really, they felt like the Super Bowl was, they treated like it was like a high school football game. That's how they viewed it as, and they really never thought of, being big and getting a grand entertaining people. But I think with Michael, because everyone remembers, or you and I remember, it was the Living Color episode, the 15 minutes, because fans were like, oh, we're done with this. And it's just like, we're done with the halftime show. We're going to see Living Color. And for them to do something within 15 minutes or less than a half, well, at least good less than 20, and it was live and it was perfect. And it was like, I give them high credit for it. So, because they realized, it's like, look, you guys are sick of the halftime shows. We got something for you. Gotcha. And I knew a lot of people just turned their channel to Channel 5 or Fox, whatever affiliate Fox was, and tuned into that. And they saw those numbers. The NFL saw those numbers. And then the next year, they figured we need something big, and they got Michael to do it. So I give him credit.
Was superb. Because halftime to me, and as I remember with my dad, was to go get chips and go to the bathroom and to go grab whatever you were drinking.
Free stock.
Yeah, that's what that was for.
Yeah, so.
You better not now. Like halftime is like they have you glued.
Yeah, because you want to critique. Everyone likes to critique the halftime show. Everyone likes, mind you, it's also, especially with artists that you're familiar with, you would love to hear the songs that you haven't heard in a while, from them, in a live setting. So I give credit to what they've been doing of lately. Oh, another top tier, of course, is my cat, or excuse my admiral, Miss Rihanna. Even showing us her second baby bump, during her performance. So I was hoping it would spark a new tour, because usually when they do these things, because I remember her stating that she would not do a halftime show because none of the performers get paid. So she said, I ain't doing this. But somehow someone said, hey, got her in here. Yeah, why not? And she came in fire and elevated and went up and down and and everything. And I was like, yes, okay, I'm in the hat. And it was all by herself. That's the cool thing. She was by herself, because I heard the rumor mills of like, oh, she'll probably have so and so here or so and so there. But nope, she was by herself. Is there a performance that you did not like?
I'm on the fence with Rihanna.
Oh, okay.
I liked her. And her condition made me understand why there couldn't be a whole bunch of what I expected from her. Right, so I'm on the fence with, if you understand that. No, nothing stands out at this moment. It'll change by the time I see you tomorrow, but nothing that I did not like. I wasn't disappointed in anything. Everything I found the artistry in it, and I found the everything to be amazing. I found everything to be amazing, because it's hard to do that. Like even Beyonce, I forgot to add her. There's a lot that goes into that for free. So I can't say I can't.
Okay. I'll give you two.
Okay.
One is I would say Dr. Dre and Friends. I was not really a fan of it.
Why?
It just didn't work for me.
Okay.
I just felt like it was like, I know you were trying to get this West Coast vibe, Dre, Snoop, 50, you have Eminem and all that stuff, but really was like, I was just not feeling it. Mary in there, I get it, but it was just too much. I just give me one artist. I don't need 4 or 5.
I can
You
I can
know,
see that with you.
yeah.
That's a you answer.
Right. And the second is The Weeknd. I mean, there's certain songs I like from him, but I felt like him taking a whole show, and especially how he did it, it just felt weird. It just I really didn't fully connect with me with it. So I mean, it wasn't a performance I would say Hall of Fame, halftime worthy.
No,
I
I
mean,
agree with you.
if you're a Weekend fan, I would get it, but mine just like I said, there's just certain songs I like, but it's like I don't know. I just didn't think that he. I mean, mind you, he's a good performer to a point, but but just not for me.
I think he has nice songs. Performer, I don't know. For
Right.
me, because now that you said that, I'm not a great fan of his, and I not even a whole CD, like not for me. There
Right.
are points and hits, and I think he would have benefited from a guest to kind of relieve us of all
Right.
of that, whatever that is, and then you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
That sounds me.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's another the topic, and this is like pretty much the main topic here.
Mhm.
And I've had these discussions. I had it with you, and I've had it with other people.
Okay.
And we're in the era of representation. Everybody wants to represent everybody. And I what I'm saying is like if you like for instance, back in the Wizards right now
Mhm.
are horrible. Let's be honest, they are straight up horrible. And back when during during the mid 80s and going into the 90s, they were horrible even then.
The
And
bullets. The bullets.
the Bullets back then the Bullets.
Okay.
And the way they promote their games was promoting the other team. And how they did it was just felt weird. It's like, hey, come see. It wasn't just come see the Lakers. It was come see Magic Johnson and the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, is this a music group? It's like Prince and the Revolution. I mean, is that what we're doing? So, and nowadays, it's kind of like it's more so into everything. Yeah, and especially in it's just all the sports. And I just felt like one thing that kind of irked me was when Maryland was facing Michigan, and I saw the promo of they were saying the starting quarterback for Michigan against they say Michigan and this guy and Michigan against Maryland, and I was like, okay, can you balance this out? We got a guy, Tula's brother. I mean, why not him? And it's like, but no, you just give us Maryland, and it's like, okay, we're treated almost giving that Bullets effect. So, but my thing is, I feel like should one guy represent an entire team? Should it just be the team? I mean, LeBron and the Lakers doesn't make sense to me because LeBron's been on two other teams before that, and also the simple fact of again, with the Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's like it just be the Kansas City Chiefs. Get Kansas City Chiefs against the 49ers, not
Brock Purdy's 49ers.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Do you feel like having that quote unquote the face of a franchise is it really needed nowadays?
Yeah, because people are into a team member. People are, and you hear when they lose, it is also Dak Prescott's. They people are into that. In basketball, people are into a player, and you very rarely, because I think liking a whole team is not as popular as it used to be. People like players, and you see that when that player leaves, and then now you turn in your Maryland jersey, and now you have a Michigan jersey, or you're turning in your Commanders gear for wherever for 49ers gear, because I see that too. People were Trent Williams and Chase Chase fans, and now they all are over here. So that can upset me, but I understand. People aren't loyal. They aren't loyal. You can see that when they don't give people a chance to get it together. People like they will hop. It's no patience.
Right. Well, do you feel also the fact that since they should that individual, like I said, sense of with LeBron bouncing from Cleveland to Miami to back to Cleveland to now to Los Angeles, like I mean, remind you, we joke, when we say it, it's like you like Detroit because of, if Matt Stafford got to the Super Bowl, you were rooting for Matt Stafford, even though he's a Ram now, but he represented Detroit. But it's like, do you feel like, representing a person is the real main, your main, reasoning to like a team, just one person, wherever that guy goes, that's the reason why you like that team.
Not me, but I just see that all the time. There was a guy that I am friends with. He was Peyton's. He was a Peyton Manning fan, right? Then he was coached to coach down, and then he ended up being Broncos down. And he was just like, I don't care. I'm going to follow him wherever he goes. Screw the team. Once my player is gone. Now, to my credit, yes, I did that with Detroit because that's not my main team. My main team down is Cowboys. And I take them all in the same little bunch. You see my name today, right? You see my name today?
All right. What's the name today here?
My name is Kiki Lamb. That's what it is. Mrs. Lamb to you.
Okay.
When it was very hard for me with Kobe. It was very hard with me with LeBron because I like those people. I like LeBron James. I do. So when he came to Lakers, which is my team, I can now depart and separate from the single person mentality. Mm-hmm. It's very hard. So, but I don't knock people for it. It's just it does nothing for the brand of the sport, though. It doesn't do anything for the sport. It just there's a divisive idea. Like if everybody did it, we would be a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a divisive connotation with that to me. If everybody just decided to go with LeBron or go with that person instead of supporting the team.
Do you feel like you said before, not a lot of people, they just focus on the individual, but do you feel like a lot of people don't want to fully invest in a particular team, especially if it's their home team? Because mind you, I'm an Oriole fan. I'm a Raven fan. I know almost each and every player on that roster that plays that team. Yeah. And I feel like, not a lot of modern day fans want to fully invest in an entire roster of players. They just want to focus on the player that does the most, that's always seen all the time. Do you feel like
I do.
A lot of fans are missing out on knowing an entire roster of players and just focusing on that one top tier person?
I think that's 50-50 because I live in the Washington area and I know these fans are Washington down regardless. And they can tell you their front line. They can tell you their practice squad. They even go to their practice sessions. They can tell you their backups. Like, so I don't find that more than not. I find that I hang around real football fans, though. I mean, real sports fans, and I don't hang around the W and L watchers, the scorekeepers. I don't hang around those. So the people that I know that fully invest in this Monday, Thursday, some Fridays and some Saturdays early at 8:00 and most Sundays. No, I don't find that to be true. Okay. I see it, but I don't find the majority. I don't find it to be true always.
What about? Do you feel like, since I know for what we're getting more fair weather fans, got kind of like getting into the notions of this, or better yet, the Swifties, trying to come in because they want to support only people that they know, which is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Do you think that is a good thing for the league to have, to focus on, guys, just the top tier guys to focus on.
That's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Because we're distracted. The league is distracted. And I think while at the end of the day, numbers is what you're checking for, and the Swifties and Taylor add another layer of people. Let me give you an analogy, right? I was selling the calendar back in 2008, I'm sorry. And it was a calendar for motorcycle riders, because everybody know I'm in a motorcycle club, right? And I had all my riders in there, and I had all these women. And you can take this two ways, but just listen. I had all these women that were in there, and of no particular club, but they all had one common interest, or two common interests, was riding motorcycles and wanting to be in this calendar. One girl decided that she wanted to drop out, and of course, those calendars are women, and sexy women. You sell those calendars to kind of get, they were of the sexier nature. And one of my club members decided something happened and she couldn't do it. And she's one of these curvy women with the big right? And one of my other set friends said, "Hey, I'll do it." She's gay. She's a dom. Well, I can't know if I can say that. She's the dominant one. Yeah, and she didn't, no dress, no bikinis, ain't got no, and she might have that, but you ain't seeing it. And when she decided to come up, they were saying, no, it's going to throw off I said, no, there's a layer of people. I was in the NFL at that time. I was like, no, there's an untapped market. We're going to get these off the shelves. They should be able to see that too. Now, the parallel to that story and this story is I was in the NFL. I looked at it like, hey, whatever. If you want to support one person, bring it on. Give me the money, right? It didn't change how the calendar sold. We did get questions about it. But we still, at the end of the day, it still happened. I no longer feel that way when it comes to NFL. I have totally 180 have changed my idea in my mind, because I don't like that. I don't like them to use that to ascertain more people, as i.e. housewives or Swifties. NFL for real. This is not preschool. This ain't playtime. And I think people are, it's viewed as playtime. We can't even take you serious when we can't take you serious. And I feel funny and I'm mad. I'm going to write my congressman, because when Tony Romo did it with Jessica, they were mad at him, and they demanded that this cease and it stops. And she, in her own time, she was not mega like Taylor, but she was a celebrity in her own right, and it was a distraction. It was then, and it is now. And I pray to goodness that this is the last time. I hope all of us have gotten enough of it. I hope it has all made us feel sick or full enough we don't want no more. I hope that happens. God bless them.
Like I said, I do agree with that. I feel like there's no harm in trying to promote, a team within a player. I get with at least one player, but if you have multiple players that can do multiple things, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate to where to me, I feel like the rest of the players are just nothing. I mean, I know you need, we need a face of the franchise. Do you? I mean, do you really? I mean, you can just have, your entire team has top tier players.
Yes.
And you can that's how it should be represented. I mean, as much as, I'm going back to baseball with the Orioles, during the, early 80s when, when Cal Ripken showed up, it was everyone was saying it's Cal Ripken and the Baltimore Orioles. It's no. Mm-hmm. We got Eddie Murray. We got Al Bumry. We got Ken Singleton. We got Gary Renicky. We have John Lowenstein. We have, Dennis Martinez, Scott McGregor, Rick Dempsey. We had all these players I can mention. Rick Dempsey was the most valuable player in the 83 World Series. Not Cal. Cal didn't really do much. But yeah,
Calvin's
so
is cute.
yeah, but the thing is it's like, I know you're trying to promote the organization with one guy, but really it's like even Cal can say it's like, that's not, no, I represent the Baltimore Orioles. I represent what's on the front of my shirt, not the back. And I think that's it, even because I feel like a lot of teams nowadays, a lot of players nowadays want to promote what's on the back and not the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I can respect that because, mind you, it's a business. But the thing is like, I think now with college and with these NIL deals, to me, it's getting far worse now going into the pros, because you already got the mindset to promote just you and not your team.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
I didn't like it when Jeter did it, because we forgot to add Jeter too. I didn't like it when they had I call it Jeterdom. I can't hate on the player for doing it. I can't. If you want to own your own time, if you want to do your own thing, if you want to, because you promote your star player, which is you. But for an organization to fall in line with that, there's something that's lacking. And I go to work every day, and I tell my coworkers, they say, well, how do you keep such a calm head? I said, because my address is not on this badge. Like, these people, I come here to represent these people. I smile for them. I'm kind for them. It is their image that I am promoting on their time. And I think that can be seen, whether you believe it or not. I think Dallas Cowboys, we have that. The team promotes the team. Now, the nation can call out CeeDee Lamb to death, but and I believe that even sportscasters, they kind of, I think we do that. I think Ravens do that too, but I think we definitely don't single one person out. Now, when it's negative, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. You kind of want to feel like the team should like disown him, and it's like, no, he did that. He did that on his own time. He did not represent us. No way. So
yeah, you got it.
Actually, that's what I'm going to lead into. Do you feel like sometimes, when one individual, especially if it's the top tier player, goes off the rails, and as much as we say, it's like, I mean, who is he representing? Is he representing us, or meaning the team, or is he representing himself? Because you have like Jay Morant and his crazy antics, or John Morant, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
You have Aaron Rodgers and his crazy comments of late. Things of that nature. Do you feel like, as much as whatever, based off of what their contract says, or based off what type of discussion they had between management, do you feel like it's at some point in time, it's like, hey, I know you don't represent the league or the team 24/7, but at some point in time, you have to.
While you're contracted, you better. While you're working, I think you should. And this is why I felt like Chad Ochocinco, my fellow Capricorn, kind of fell off the rails with that. I felt he and Terrell Owens started that mess where you did other than. Then and it's a disservice to your team. Again, it's a distraction. To me, I don't really care what your personality is. I don't really care what you do on your day off. I don't care. It's performance. I am fine. If it weren't for this team, sir, I wouldn't even know you. If it weren't for your talent that is showed weekly, sir, I wouldn't even know of you. So to me, because I jumped on or I follow you for that purpose, feed me that. Feed me that. Okay. Especially during the end season. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. Come on. And matter of fact, your whole contract life, if you ask me, am I a stickler for the rules? Yes. If you have a contract, stay in that. I don't want to. I don't. Please, Just work for your team during your contract. When you will have time, you get paid a lot of money. You will have time, when you're done here, or when you leave, or when you're traded, or when you retire, to do whatever CD Lamb is doing. I know that's hard. That's harsh, but that's how I feel.
I get it. Trust and believe, I get it, because I feel like, it's like, once you're a pro, you are a professional. You're supposed to represent professionalism.
Yeah.
But I think of lately, it's more, again, they believe more so of 24/7 entertainment than 24/7 professionalism.
Correct.
And I think that's where I feel is kind of the imbalances right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're doing everything for whatever's on Instagram and doing things like that, and it's stuff like that. I mean, mind you, if you're doing something positive, there is a lot of these guys have done a lot of great things, with whatever foundation they've created for themselves, and you don't see that highly promoted at all until it get to the Man of the Year award or whatever humanitarian.
Or he died on the field.
Yeah,
and guess what?
Things of that nature. You just certain things that sort of, I don't know. It just seems off. But how do you feel about that? The missed opportunities to promote something good as the negative.
I believe that you should have a team to do that. I believe your team should do that. I believe your team of your management should do that. I don't think that it should be you. Again, it's a distraction for me. To me. You get paid enough money to keep to pay someone to keep your brand intact. There is a saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And we expect you to do charity work. We expect you to do feed the homeless or whatever. We expect that to be a part of your program. But I don't think necessarily I want to see you tweet that, or I care to see you go live. I think because then it changes from whatever the initial idea was to now entertaining. Oh, look at what I'm doing. It changes that to me. And of course, I'm an older person, so I'm unfazed by a whole bunch of this, and it waters it down. And then even the premise of it is it changed. Like, if I am feeding the homeless, I should not be having myself. It should be my team to show me actually doing the work. And that, to me, is a few minutes of this and that. It is not an entertainment. It's not a Q&A. It ain't I'm not recording as I pass out turkeys, any of that. It just, the premise changes and it's entertainment, and I'm over it. Like, no. You don't have to play pro football to go somewhere else and do that.
Right.
No, or let someone else do it.
Yeah, it seems like it's very generic when it, like, every holiday season with with football, you see them, like, players giving out the turkeys and all that stuff. Yeah. It's like, okay, I get it. That's their thing, But then again, it's like, but you don't see them do it off-season stuff, because I know the off-season they do a lot more during the off-season.
Yeah,
and we don't know about those things. So it's just to me, it seems like missed opportunities. Even though we like to promote him during the season, but then again, he is like, try to find the quote unquote the human side of these aggressive players and all that stuff. But then again, it's like, don't you feel like they do this all year round?
And who cares about the human side? Again, these people, wasn't it LeBron James that has a school, and you don't know about it until there's trouble? When there's trouble, I got to pull out my cards and say, well, what you didn't know was, because there's a saying too, those who know. There shouldn't have to always be a consistent and constant promotion of the good things that I'm doing when I'm paid to play football. The people who I affect, the change that I affect, they know. It doesn't have to be something that needs to be promoted to me. Like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, to close out, I just feel like I know it's a double-edged sword with these guys. They
Yeah.
damn they do, damn they don't. Whatever good thing they do, there will be some bad things they do down the line. But I feel like the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, MSL, whoever. Shout out to Trump and his alcohol.
I have water.
Yeah, I just feel like there are things that you want to have the team be represented properly. I rather see them represented entirely. I don't want just to see this person and everybody else. The Capitals, it's Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals. I get it, but damn it, there's other guys. Alex, I know he's the premier shooter. He's a premier guy, but it's the Washington Capitals. He's on the Washington Capitals because eventually, if he retires or gets traded away, like Wayne Gretzky, he wasn't. It's just Wayne Gretzky and the Oilers. He went to the Kings. He went to the Rangers. He went to the Blues. He went to other teams. These one players that pretty much was quote unquote the face of a franchise will go to another franchise. And if they're the premier player on that franchise, that's one thing. But at the same time, they may not.
Chasers.
Yeah. So and if you think about it, if you have two quote unquote faces, there may become conflicts. I mean, if you remember the early days of the Showtime Lakers, Kareem was a fan of Magic. He wasn't because he felt like, hey, I'm the face of where did this rookie come from? But Magic had magic and all that stuff. It took some time.
Well, conflict causes interest, and it piques interest, and it trends. So they don't mind that.
Right. But
thank you for mentioning Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, I remember him.
Yeah. but the thing is like back in those 80s and stuff, like we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have any social media forum, whatever. We really didn't know about the backstage stuff.
No.
We saw what was happening on the court. We just saw, we never really take note of the fact that Kareem didn't like Magic that very much. And even so, if you bring it up a couple of decades, we started knowing the fact that Shaq and Kobe were best of friends. The simple fact is like, hey, they had two different mindsets. They were two different big powerhouses. When you have two top tier faces on one club, mind you, you're going to have some friction, which is
you are.
So
you are.
But I just feel like it's like how you represent that to me, I felt like you should just promote the team.
Yeah.
That's how I feel is like needs to be wiped away of. It's just like if you're going to have who's the face of the franchise, it's like, damn it, this is not, again, we're going back to wrestling. This is not, is who's the leader of DX here. It's not that. It's a simple fact. It's like, no, everybody, this is a team. This is how it should be. This is not just offense. The offense should represent everybody. No, it should be a team thing. And I think nowadays we're missing that whole aspect of it. I just, because we want to promote the individual, which is understandable, but I just think that if you don't promote everybody, I think you're lost because again, in the end, I like had arguments with you about it. I've had arguments with a lot of people. It's like you're gonna sit there and tell me it's like, oh, Tom Brady is the greatest champion of all time. It's like, how? Because he was on a team for 7 different times. Is that what you're telling me? I mean, come on. It's like he's a great player, yes, but he was on 7 different championship teams. Is he a great player by himself?
No. I mean, yeah.
No. Think about it. Because unless you're telling me he can play, because this is where I get into the argument. When it comes to tennis or golf, I can have that argument with you. Because they're by themselves.
Yeah.
I can sit there and say it's like, who's the greatest tennis player of all time? Bjorn Borg or Roger Federer. And because based off the titles they've had, or based off the career they've had, because they're by themselves.
Correct.
You're sitting here telling me if a guy on a team sport is the greatest player of a quarterback of all time, based off of what?
So no, because if you say greatest player of all time, then I can understand the argument. But if you're singling out quarterback position,
Mhm.
you're not even that's how the person played. That's their and those titles do belong. Get back to me on that.
See, because I have to
Because
make you think about that.
you get stand
Because
by.
like I said, I've had someone argue me a long time ago, and about who was the better quarterback, Montana or Elway, and I told him
Yeah.
I rather had Elway, and
Mhm.
he's their main argument. I have these arguments all the time. Their main argument has been, "Oh, but Montana has 3 titles.
Yeah.
That don't mean shit. Take
Mhm.
the titles away and what you got. I
Mhm.
want a guy who gets me, at least get me to the Super Bowl, let alone win them." Now I know Elway didn't win them until finally he got Terrell Davis and there all that stuff. But the
Yeah.
main thing is like, who was the real better quarterback between the two? It was Elway. If
Yeah.
you look at his numbers, it was him. Montana was pretty average. He just had a good system, a great offense, a defense that pretty much stopped a lot of teams that got him those 3 titles. That was it. You take
You
away, go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
Because I just think that I felt like with Brady, it was the same thing. You took him to Tampa. If it wasn't bringing him Gronk and a whole bunch of other veteran free agents,
Mhm.
I don't think he would have won that 7th Super Bowl.
That's
I don't
hard.
think so.
That's arguable.
It's arguable, but I just think it's just like you take him to Tampa with the same team that James Winston was playing with, without Gronk and adding on or any other veterans that they brought in. If he played the exact same team that James Winston had, I do not think he would have gone to the Super Bowl.
That's arguable. That's arguable.
Yeah,
I,
it's
if,
arguable.
if if you look at how they manage a game, I think that would separate some things for me too. Because I know some game managers who they are the reason why we're here. Like that's the difference in the L and the W.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to consider that. And I think Tom Brady was a great game manager. I think so. I think Mahomes is a great. I think he manages a great game. I don't feel like Dak. No, I think Tony
Mm-hmm.
Romo, when he was allowed to, managed a great game. I
Mm-hmm.
and I that's where that kind of comes in with me. Tom Brady had a he cannot be the greatest player because he definitely did not survive. Could not have survived without his line. Like that just wouldn't be a thing. We wouldn't be talking about that at all. He in those detrimental situations where we're down by and my Hail Mary is the one, or you still have to decide who to throw it to, who you still have to decide. There's decisions you have to make, but then there's also another person that's going to receive that decision. So I'm telling you, I agree with you, but I need a few minutes to because I can see myself disagreeing, but then talking and my argument leads me back to you being right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's confusing. Is that confusing to you?
No, because that's well. I wouldn't say I try to manipulate that, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like I'm trying to make people understand. It's like because what you're telling me, what a lot of people tell me, the simple fact of one guy being the greatest of all, whatever. I mean, mind you, let's say another perfect example, or let's say debatable example, has like who's better, Kobe or Magic, or I mean, or Kobe and Michael Jordan, or Michael Jordan and LeBron, and all that stuff. It's like, okay, one on one, I would still say Michael Jordan, one
Yeah,
on one. As
yeah.
mind you, the young folks, I really believe it's like it'll say they're saying LeBron because they see LeBron. Mind you, I have no disrespect to Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, Pete Maravich, whomever. I mean, Pistol Pete, Dr. J. I've seen Dr.
Mhm.
J, but pretty much his later career. The patriarch of how the NBA was started. These guys did everything and everything, but I can't view them properly, and I can't put them in a conversation because of the simple fact I never fully saw them all the time. I did see Michael Jordan all the time. I saw Reggie Miller all the time. I saw Kevin Johnson all the time. I saw Charles Barkley all the time. These I can evaluate properly. These guys I can say it's like, okay, this is the reason why this guy's the best basketball player by him. Because mind you, with basketball, you can play basketball by yourself. You can. So you can have a proper one-on-one. Football, you can't. Baseball, you can't. You can't have unless you're who's the greatest home run hitter. That's the lone discussion you can have with baseball, or who's the best pitcher. And it's like that you can properly have. But when it comes to overall football, whatever, it's like, nah, football is a full-on team sport. And you're gonna sit there and tell me one dude who pretty much, I'm saying it again, one dude who just throws it and hands it off to people is the greatest of all time. I don't think so.
But you're a hater too, so you're a hater. So I have to, and I think that's why I really want to argue with you about it, but then I can't. Yeah, you're a right hater. So yeah. in this today. It
is. Well, speaking of today, I know we don't have anybody in our Super Bowl, but who are you rooting for? I mean, who you believe will win this? Let's put that. We're not rooting for. Who do you think will win today?
I think they're going to allow the 49ers to win this.
It's a redemption game for them, since it is.
Yeah. I think they're gonna allow them to win.
Okay.
It
would be a great story to have the first ever Mr. Irrelevant to win a Super Bowl, but I don't think the Swifties are going to have it. They're not going to allow this. I sad to say, I think the Chiefs will be the first defending champions to win again since the Patriots, and it's a sad thing to say, but yeah, I think the Chiefs are taking this one.
You think so?
It reminds you though they're doing it in their division rivals' place, and the Niners, they're not fully healthy. Neither are the Chiefs, to be honest with you. But really, it's a game to where it's like it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Like
defense.
Yeah, it'll be highly defensive oriented. But I think knowing the Chiefs, knowing Mahomes, how he plays in the Super Bowl, he'll start off ugly, and then he'll kick it into gear by the second half. That's how I see it.
I put a post up the other day, right? I said when I was watching the game, I said Mahomes runs like a little kid that has in the second grade that has to pee with a hall pass. I'm looking forward to seeing him have to pee.
Yes, that's probably what it's doing. Anyway, where can people find you around the towns?
You can find me on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm Kiki of Kiki and Tone on Real Talk Uncensored. My Facebook page is Kiki Grant, Kiki. My Instagram name is The Webslinger, DAWEBSLINGA.
Yeah, even though she wants to be Miss Kiki Lamb right here.
Kiki Lamb.
So you can find me on pretty much as you probably see under there. If not, it's the No Filter Sports Instagram with a lot of underscore dashes that a lot of people don't like, but it's a 2.5, so remember that. Anyway, thank you again, Kiki, for joining me today, and thank you for tuning in. We'll have our post Super Bowl discussion down the line.
Yes.
So be prepared for that, because trust and believe we'll have even more to say then. So in the meantime, we will all see you next time.
Bye. Have a good night. Thanks.